Let's have a look. Hi. Oh my God. I have no idea what happened then. I'm like, everything went wrong. So let me just double check that. Let's just make sure we've deleted that last one, which shouldn't have happened. How is everyone? Sorry for all the messing. We're having a lot of rain. It does affect it, yeah. Well, the internet stopped working. Let's just, I just want to make sure we delete. Let's just delete it. Woo! The one that we just did, yeah? So that it doesn't get confusing for people. Right, okay, that's good. So I'm really sorry, guys. I don't know what happened. Like, the whole world came to a stop. You had a good chat going, I know. So, Carolyn, this is so weird. It keeps saying the video has been removed. That, yeah, so, yeah, I removed it. I don't know. It's very weird. Hi, Isa. Hi, Deborah. So, I'm going to repeat myself. I'm going to go, we're live again. Live. So is Songbird on? Live. So let's have a look. Let me just put it on Defending Elvis. We're live. Let's have a look. Let's put it on our Facebook. Salvatore. And nothing's working. Do you know I watched a film last night called Future World? Do any of you remember Future World? It was part 2. What was the original? What was the first one? It was where they were robots, and you went to this like almost like Disney World. What was the first one called? Anyone remember, guys? So the second one was Future World. Yes. Where it's got is it Rutgahua? Yes. What's the first one called? You got Future World, and the first one was called something else. Yeah, we're back, Linda. I'm just quickly saying it on the live again. Live. I'm just quickly saying it on the. Quickly say it on our. At least we got to say it on our own chat, haven't we? But I've said it on our chat. Okay. But I'll tell Tony, because I know Tony likes to be reminded. Tony, are you there? Right, let's tell Tony. So she may be asleep. It's different time zones, isn't it, guys? Darlene, Lorna, just the ones that I know get the message. Debbie, Denise. Okay, I think that's the ones that are on Instagram. What's the other side? Let me just. So if I put in Future World film, it might show the name of the first one. I watched it when I was a kid in the 70s, I think. Yes, you got the 1975 one was called Future World. So what was the first one called? Come on, Westworld. Westworld, guys, Westworld. Do any of you remember Westworld? So last night I watched this one. Last night I watched this one, Future World, which is on Prime TV. I really liked it, actually. Right, what's going on? Come on then. Where are you? Come on then, in you come. Come on. And then you got Westworld. Just really good retro films. What's the matter with you? What's the matter with you? Hey? She's barking. She's 15, this is 16. Are you 16 or 15? And then Westworld, let's have a look. I know it's got nothing to do with Elvis, but I love watching these old films. Westworld, let's have a look, with the guy from that film that we all love, The King and I. Guys, did you love The King and I? The King and I, one of my favorite ever films. So Westworld, let me just get you the... So Yul Brynner, that's the one. Let me just... So let's see if I can show you the... There we go. That's the one. Brilliant for guys. Both fantastic films, both of them. Come on then, out you go. Little Barker. Princess is doing her usual thing. And the other film that I like, King and I, Yul Brynner. Oh, love it. But do any of you remember that film where they did a fake, where they pretended that they'd landed on the moon, and there was 3 astronauts that had to do a runner, and they ran away? I love that film as well. What was it called? Capricorn 1. Do any of you know that film? Capricorn 1. Oh, I love that film. Songbird, you've got to watch Westworld and Future World. This is the originals from the 70s. And Capricorn 1, brilliant films. Obviously, I watched them in the... I probably watched the reruns in the 80s. Brilliant, 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 brilliant films. Oh, I love horrors as well. When I was a kid, it was all the what's his name? Christopher Lee. Who's the other one? His partner, his sidekick. Peter Cushing, is it? Peter Cushing. Then you have the really old black and white werewolf films from, I think, the 40s. I loved them. You know, very scary. When we were all kids, a lot of us here, you only had 3 channels. Sometimes some of us 2 channels. So these old horrors, when they would show them, it was like, yes, special night, Fright Night. Does anyone remember Hammer House of Horror? Do any of you guys remember the Hammer House of Horror? I love Rin Tin Tin. Yeah, we like Rin Tin Tin. Hammer House of Horror, guys. Anyone remember that? I love them. And then you got Tales of the Unexpected. Do any of you guys remember Tales of the Unexpected? Obviously, many of you guys are in America, but in England, these are the stuff that was getting shipped over from America. Terrifier, I don't know that film. Definitely all the Dracula films and the werewolf films. American Werewolf in London, we all know that. Brilliant. Night Stalker. Oh, I'd have to watch that again. I don't remember that one. Come on, we all love all these films. I remember Poltergeist. When that came out, that was a big deal, wasn't it? So, yeah, I love all the supernatural stuff. Love it. Right, so it's going to be a shortish video because my wife is going to be home soon. Not yet. You know, we've still got enough time to do what I want to do. We're still reading out the love story. We're still on the Anita book. Elvis and Anita. Let me just shut the door. It's a helicopter going over. Right. And my wife told me to cook her some bacon. So 2 things happened, guys. My brother rang me, my twin brother. We had to sort out some stuff for work, which took quite a while in the end, because obviously I do go to work. I just not in the way that most people do. Yeah. So we had some property things to sort out. Then I decided to spend half an hour on 45 minutes trying to fix my wife's car, which I still haven't done yet. I'm waiting for a part to be delivered. And then my wife phoned me saying she wants some bacon cooked. So I've sort of been sidetracked because my wife is going out tonight for the first time. So my wife is going out tonight for the first time since she was diagnosed. So she's actually going to get drunk. So she's very excited. She's meeting a lot of friends. So she said to me, make sure I cook her some bacon so she doesn't have an empty stomach. So, okay, the bacon is cooking now. I can smell it. Yeah, she's very excited. My wife gets excited when she's going out. She doesn't go out drinking very often. Maybe every 6 weeks, something like that. So when she does go out, she can't wait. Yeah, Josie, we love the werewolf vampire films. Come on. Right, so we played that song on the last live stream that was a favorite of Anita and Elvis's. I can't find the name of it, but if you want to listen to that song, it's at the end of the last live stream. And I want to read out, oh, actually, it says it here, I think. Let's have a look. Priscilla began service. All right. Okay, let's just read this bit. So I think on the last bit, it said the name of the song, but I'm never going to find it. Right. So let's read this. These last 2 live streams are to do with Elvis's love letters that are in the book. Elvis and Anita, Once Upon a Time. If you're new to this channel or new to this book, I highly recommend this book. It's very, very good. It really will give you an insider view of Elvis and Anita in the 1950s. It really, late 1950s, early 60s. It really is an eye-opener, just how close they were, how in love they were, and just how much Priscilla really coming along completely messed everything up for Anita. And the obvious thing is that Elvis just wasn't ready to settle down. It's just, every time I read these things, I'm always like, Elvis wasn't ready to settle down. He was too young. Life was too good. He was loving the fame, the attention, his success. Of course, he liked the money. Why not? But he wanted to give the money away as quick as he got it. So, unfortunately for Anita, who was very loyal, decent. Beep. So Anita, very loyal, decent, beautiful, intelligent, well brought up. There's so many good things I can say about Anita. She's the best girlfriend you could have, I think. Yeah. Unfortunately for her, Elvis wasn't ready, and he had met Priscilla, which is a big story. Now, do I think if Elvis hadn't have met Priscilla, that they may have married? I think it's possible. I honestly think it's possible that Elvis and Priscilla may have married. Elvis and Anita may have married. How many people here think if Elvis had not have met Priscilla, that he would have married Anita? How many people here think that? How many of you think that Elvis was just too young to marry anybody and was not ready to settle down with anybody in 1959, 1960, 61, 62? Please leave it in the comments. If you're watching, if this is a replay and you're watching it later on, please leave it in the comments. I encourage you guys to comment. I like it when you guys comment. If you're just waking up in America now, morning. Hope you had a good night's sleep, because I know that where many of you are now, it's still early in the morning. Yeah, Salvatore, you said Elvis loved women despite all the love letters that he wrote, but I've only found the Anita Wood love letters. Did Elvis write any other love letters? I'd like to know that, because I only know about these. I've never heard of other love letters. Maybe you guys have. Please leave it in the comments. Anita had everything Elvis, though Prissy had, thanks to Prissy pretending that she was the perfect girl, but was totally different. Anita never pretended and manipulated. She was the real deal. I totally agree with that. And I also agree that Elvis had the perfect girl in his mind. It was important that they were very untouched, loyal, faithful, decent. You know, we're talking the 50s, 60s, yeah? So it was important to Elvis that I think the key word is loyalty, isn't it? Yeah. I don't know, because Elvis had carried on seeing other girls. Don't think Anita would have put up with it. That's a very good point. We have discovered here that Elvis was seeing other girls in the late 50s and the 60s. He carried on seeing her a bit for a while in the 60s, didn't he, Anita? So he definitely was not ready for Priscilla. He wanted Priscilla to be older. So he didn't really properly get with Priscilla till she was basically 18. So let me let Princess in. Right, come on then. Come on, you've been out 10 times. Come on then. In you come. Come on, you've been out so many times. Right, I'm going to open the other door as well, because otherwise she'll bark at this door. Right, go on then. Go on up. In a minute, she'll come back and bark again. See, some days, Princess will go upstairs and just chill for a few hours. Today, nah, she's coming and going, Louis, I'm going to email you later about a theory on Priscilla. You can share it. Oh, I'd love it. Linda, set anything you want to send me. I love sending, reading out your emails. I love it. Please do. Thank you, Linda. So would Elvis have written back to Priscilla? Yeah, because in this book, it does give you the impression that he doesn't really like writing letters. So I think we have discussed before, wasn't there supposedly quite a lot of letters that Priscilla sent to Elvis? Do we know where they are? Some people say they've either gone missing. What do you think, guys? Are there letters from Priscilla to Elvis? Right, okay, now I'm going to read this little bit and then we're going to read this love letter. Okay, guys, it's a very long, looking at it, it's very long, okay? Though Mama continued to sing over the next few months, she also took a job as a disc jockey with WHHM in Memphis. Her show ran Monday through to Friday, 4:30 to 6 p.m. and the station gave her full latitude. One day in October, Elvis surprised Mama by phoning her at the station with exciting news. He'll be coming home around March the 3rd. I bet she was excited, guys. But it was also around the time that pictures of him with young girls named Priscilla began surfacing in the papers. And come on, guys, these pictures went round the world, didn't they? Even in magazines and maybe even in news clips, news items, isn't it, on the news? Could you imagine how that made her feel, though, Anita? I think, seriously, guys, we all love Elvis, but I think Anita struggled, man. I think she went through quite a tough time, Anita. It must have been hard on her. You know, we all love Anita as well, don't we? This must have been so difficult to these different people in the papers. Yeah. Salvatore, 100%, he broke her heart. He definitely broke her heart. I don't think, to be honest, I know she had a very full life. I don't think she ever got over it. I don't think she ever got over it. I know she moved on and she had a great life, but I still think it was always there. Mama didn't like that at all, and she let Elvis know it, though he again said, it's all for publicity. Nothing's going on. It wasn't harder. It was getting harder for her to believe that. A few weeks later, Elvis wrote Mama another long letter. So I'll tell you now, if I was Anita, I wouldn't have liked being in her shoes. It was, you know, when it was going wrong, when there was a possibility that he was seeing other people, I couldn't have handled it. I'm just reading the comment. Elvis wrote back to Priscilla, it would be interesting to compare love letters to Anita beside love letters. Oh, yeah, to Priscilla. Yeah, I'd love to see them. I'd love to read them out as well. Yeah. Hi, Carolyn. Hi, Jane. Right, let's read it. It's a long letter, guys. Now, the writing is tiny. Yeah, it's very, very, you know, can you see the big square block of writing? It's very small. So I'm going to struggle to read it, but I'm going to give it a go. I'm going to turn the TV right down because otherwise I lose concentration. So I think the dog's quiet. I'm going to shut that door. I want it to be completely silent when I read, otherwise I get distracted. Okay, let's up because we are going to go through these books, guys. I'm not just going to, just because YouTube have told me to do things correctly, it doesn't mean I'm going to not read them. I'm going to read them, and we're going to critique them. Now, these letters, they're just public knowledge, so these letters are not copyrighted, so I can read these letters. Well, here I am, my dearest darling little. I am back out in the field for 30 days, and believe me, it's miserable. There is only one consolation, and that is the fact that it's almost over. And I will come home to my career, friends, and most of all, you, my darling. Anita, there are many things I can't tell you over the phone. I will try to tell you now. First of all, I don't really know how you feel about me now, because after 2 years, that's a long time in a girl's life. Now, I think part of the reason Elvis speaks in this way is I think he's fishing. He's fishing to see if she's been loyal and faithful. I really think it mattered a lot to him. Like, it was really, really important that she was loyal, yeah? But I want you to know that in spite of our being apart, I have developed a love for you that cannot be equaled or surpassed by anyone. Now, the big thing is that we all keep saying at Team Elvis. Does he mean it? Does he mean it? I actually do think Elvis loved her, but enough to be faithful, enough to only have one girl, I don't think so. I think he was too young. My every thought is you, my darling. Every song I hear, every sunset reminds me of the happy and wonderful times we spent together. I tell you this because I want you to know my feelings towards you have not changed, but instead have grown stronger than ever. Stronger than I ever thought it could. I have hurt you sometimes because I was mad at some of the things you did, or I thought you did, but every time these things happened, I thought that maybe you only liked me for what I am. Oh, I'm surprised he says that to her and didn't really love me for myself. Well, I would never think that of Anita, no chance. These things happen in my life, baby. Misunderstandings, heartbreaks, and loneliness. But the fact remains, if it's really love, Anita, if we really love each other, it will last. And these things will be something of the past. Although things will come up in the future that will hurt us both, they are to be expected. I have had feelings that in the last few months, something has happened as far as you're concerned, not only because you haven't written, but by the sound of your voice when I talk to you, the warmth and the love seems to have dimmed. And I understand that because she just imagines in with other people. So I hope I'm wrong. You know, after going through what I have in the last 18 months, you sometimes wonder if anyone really cares. Please believe me when I tell you it's you and only you, my darling. But I think that you will keep my word and tell me if you have grown to care for someone else and vice versa. So he's really trying to find out in this letter. I have been sleeping out on the ground and I have a fever and tonsillitis. I am listening to the radio and all the guys are sitting around with sad looks on their faces. Do you remember when you used to bounce for me? I would laugh so hard, darling. I pray that you haven't let your loneliness and your passions and your desires make you do something that would hurt me. It's obvious. He's got it in his head that she's been unfaithful. He's got it in his head that she's with another man. I can tell. It's very clear. What do you think, guys? Put it in the comments, dudes. Let's have a look. Darling, I pray that you haven't let your loneliness and your passions and your desires make you do something that would hurt me. If you have, it's better you tell me now. He's even pushing for her to fess up. Sorry. He's even pushing for her to admit it. I can't believe you have or would. Well, we are all counting the days until we come home. The reason I didn't want you there on the first night, because in spite of the fact that I love my friends and relatives, when we first lay eyes on each other, we will cling to each other like a vine. So I think some of the people might have their feelings hurt. So please understand, honey, you have surprised me at how understanding you are. So darling, if you still feel the same, and if you love me and just me alone, he still keeps pushing, just me, you better not have been unfaithful. We will have a great life together, even though you hear things and read things. Again, he's sort of saying, come on, you know, I know you're hearing things. I know you're seeing things in the papers and the magazines, on the news clips. So he's hinting to Priscilla, isn't he? Yeah. I can't explain to you how I crave you and desire your lips and your body under me, darling. I can feel it now. The things we did and the desire we had for each other's bodies. Remember, darling, true love holds its laurels through the ages, no matter how loud the clamor of denial, that which deserves to live lives. Yours alone, Elvis Presley. So he even ends it by saying, yours alone, EP. So he's giving her the impression that he isn't with anyone. So Linda said, sounds like he's trying to push her away. He was so insecure, sort of maybe trying to justify it. I mean, I get the feeling he's trying to have his cake and eat it. Do you know what I mean, guys? I get the feeling that he wants to keep her there. He's a bit unsure how things are going to go. Don't forget, it's not just Priscilla. There's other people. Isn't there 3 or 4 other girls in Germany? So I get the feeling. First, I think this, to me, the standout thing that he's trying to say is you better have been faithful. I think he's really saying you better have been loyal, faithful. You better not have touched another man. I think that, to me, really stands out. Then he's giving her the impression that if they can go through a rough time, they still have a chance. But he also hints that his feelings have started to change, that her feelings have started to change. He can sense it in her voice, in the phone calls. She's writing less. The letters have reduced. So, yeah, that's exactly. Finola, I agree. He's not keeping his eggs in one basket. The guilt, yeah, Darlene, I agree that the guilty conscience, you can sense it in the letter. This letter is to Anita. Yeah. So we are, we're trying to, even though we can't read the books word for word, we're trying to still read parts of the books and review them. Parker and Cary Grant interfered in something they should not have. So Josie says, so we are giving the impression from the last love letter that Elvis uses Colonel Tom Parker to say that's why Anita Wood didn't go to Germany. She even had her passport ready, and Elvis jumps in and says, look, Colonel Tom Parker has said you can't really come because it's not good for his image. Now, do we... I have to beg to differ a bit. I do think Colonel Tom Parker probably did have something to do with it, but I also think Elvis went through a period where he didn't really want her to come over. I think at first he did want her to come to Germany. I think he really missed her, really wanted her company. I think as Elvis settled in, was meeting other girls, the secretary, eventually Priscilla, I think it made more sense for him that Anita stays in America so that he can get on with his secret life in Germany. So I do think I also think that she must have gone through hell, Anita, because I do think that she pinned all her hopes on Elvis. Obviously, they thought one day they may have a child. If it was a boy, Elvis Presley Jr., if it was a girl, Lisa Marie, they had discussed marriage. So I don't know how to say it, guys. He definitely broke her heart. He definitely messed her around. He was definitely unfaithful. He wanted to have his cake and eat it. You know, I love Elvis. I love Elvis. Love, love, love Elvis. But in his 20s, he wasn't ready to get married or settle down or have kids. Now, I think he did look at Anita Wood in a way that she was marriage material. She was the kind of person he could marry that he felt was decent and loyal and respectful and someone to be proud of. I do think that. But not in his 20s. Not in his 20s. Okay, yeah, he had Linda. He had the freedom. I mean, with respect to Gladys, after she passed, he had more freedom because he knows that Gladys would have put him right if he was straying. If he treated Anita incorrectly, Gladys liked Anita. So did Vernon. So if Elvis didn't treat Anita right, Gladys would have put a stop to it. That's a great comment. I really think that. Yeah, but you know what I mean, Salvatore. Salvatore says Elvis could do no wrong in my view. I'm not really trying to say that Elvis has done wrong. What I'm really trying to say is he's a human. He's a human being. He wasn't ready to settle down. They weren't married. They weren't engaged. They didn't have children. So he was living as a single man, which is his right. But there was someone who was being hurt, and it was Anita. I think they would have been great together. Like Salvatore says, it's very sad. I wish he'd stayed with her. It is sad. And I actually think, come on, we all know now. Now we can look back. We all know that the Priscilla relationship was a nightmare waiting to happen. They might have had their sweet time in 1959. And a couple of years later, when she visited Graceland in 62, they probably had some sweet times. But it was a nightmare waiting to happen because we all know that the minute they got engaged and she got pregnant, in less than a year, she was unfaithful. So choosing Priscilla was a mistake, in my opinion. We also know that once they eventually get a divorce, that she is very greedy and very cruel in the divorce. So she was a mistake, guys. And even after he passed, it was all about Priscilla's glory. Wow, I've got Gracelands now. And then she spends the next 40 years living off his name. So I'm pretty sure we're all going to agree Priscilla was a mistake. So if you turn back the clock and we go to Anita, if we change history, we can do it together here, can't we? If we change history and he married Anita in the early 60s, 1963, 4, whatever, his whole life would have unfolded in a completely different way. I really believe that. I think they would have had a lovely marriage. I think they would have had a lovely family, lovely children. I just think, we can also throw into that. Imagine if Gladys had not passed at 46. You imagine Gladys staying alive, Elvis marrying Anita. Gladys would have kept Elvis in line. I mean that with respect. Elvis's whole life would have unfolded in a different way. Who knows? He may not have even made some of those movies. He may have even took his mum's advice on the right movies to make, because maybe his mum Gladys wouldn't have wanted him to make beach movies where all the girls are in bikinis. Maybe she wouldn't have liked that. Elvis was on a crossroad, and Gladys and Anita really are that crossroad. Yeah, I think Gladys passes in 58. The Anita relationship, it does carry on a bit longer, but let's face it, guys, it's pretty much over in 59. I know it carries on a bit, but that to me is the crossroad. Gladys passing, Elvis choosing Priscilla. Yeah, crossroad for Elvis's life, and the ripple effects of Elvis going to the army leads to Priscilla, doesn't it? Really, it leads to Priscilla, and then we know, between us, we know that Priscilla is probably the worst thing that ever happened to Elvis. And on all the research I've done, and all the messages you guys send me, the video clips, the interviews, the pictures, everything. The more and more you dig into it, the more and more you know that Priscilla is the main cause of Elvis's downfall. Of course, we're going to try and blame the prescribed medication, but who knows? Who knows? You know, the pain that Elvis endured when Priscilla was unfaithful in '68 with Steve Peck, the dance instructor, and then she does it again 18 months later with Mike Stone. The pain that brought to Elvis. So the knock-on effect of meeting Priscilla is so detrimental to Elvis and his whole life. Now, Elvis made the best of things. Of course he did. He quickly meets Linda, who I think at first was very good for Elvis. Now, I know there's other women, but Linda, I think she made a difference. I think Linda is important in the whole story of Elvis. I think if you look at Elvis when he first meets Linda, he's okay. He's okay. He's doing the Vegas comeback. He's still looking great. 69, 70, 71, 72. He still looks brilliant, doesn't he? So I think Linda was quite good for Elvis. I know many of you have complex views on Linda, but I do think she was a great stopgap, a great bridge away from Priscilla, away from all that heartache and also the embarrassment. Because let's face it, when Priscilla went running off with Mike Stone, dragging poor Lisa with her, Elvis, I think that's probably one of the worst things that ever happened to him. So Linda came along just at the right time. We know there's a movie on YouTube called Elvis and the Beauty Queen. I know it's Don Johnson playing Elvis, which is a bit odd. It's quite bad quality on the YouTube version of it. It's completely free to watch on YouTube. But I do understand. Elvis meets her, Linda Thompson, and I do see I think from the stories I've read, the movie is quite close to the truth. Elvis was in that middle ground. The whole world didn't know at this point that Elvis and Priscilla were over. So it shows how Elvis met her, Linda Thompson, and how their romance unfolds. It also shows how the romance starts to go wrong with Linda. Yeah, because Elvis, after Priscilla, just didn't really want to be faithful, did he? He just wanted to do his own thing. Come on, let's face it, guys. Even when Elvis was with Priscilla, he didn't want to get married. He was pressured into getting married. I really believe that. He was pressured into getting married by, obviously, Priscilla's parents, Colonel Tom Parker and Vernon. I don't know if Elvis was ever ready to get married. Sometimes I think he in his 40s, if he had got better, if his health had improved, he had reduced the amount of prescribed medication he was on, I sometimes think, oh, do you know what? Maybe in his 40s he could have got married, had kids, and settled late in life. I mean, I didn't have kids until I was 36. Yeah. So you can do it later in life, guys. You can. Yeah. With my wife, I'm talking about now. I have got 5 kids with my wife. Yeah. So I settled very late in life. So you get it, guys? Let's just have a look. Let's just check your comments a minute. So I can't hang about that much longer. I think we'll have a bit of a chat. And then my wife's going to turn up. And I want to help her and spend some time with the kids. Hi, Tony. Weekend MRI today. All right, you're having an MRI. Okay, well, good luck with that. I've had one of those. I had one of those a few months ago. The noise is annoying. And it makes an annoying noise. I think you'll be fine. We're sending you well wishes, Tony. Right, am I missing something? Let me go back. I might have missed some of the chat. Let me go back. Past members are no longer here. In Kathy's book, I heard Elvis and Linda had an open relationship. So that could be true. I think it did seem that way, but not. I think in the first year it was just them two. They were together almost every day for the first year. That's what I read anyway. We are gonna. Where's the book? We are gonna go over this book again. This is the one that Linda sent me. We are going to go over it again, and I'm going to read Linda's notes, and we are going to brush over this book as well. So all these books are going to get brought back up. That's Linda's book. I know there's some things in there that Linda thinks that Linda Thompson should not have said, but we are going to go over them. I'd love to have the Kathy book. I'll tell you what, I'd love to read it because one Joe reads it on the Rare Elvis Photos. I really like it. Linda never puts up her books or her movies. The affair she had with David Briggs. I know it's Josie. I know Linda was no angel as well. I think maybe she was in the beginning, the first year, but after that it gets complicated. But don't forget, Elvis is also not being true as well. So yeah, we got to remember when we talk about Elvis and Linda, we're talking about real people. Yeah, so stuff's going on, isn't it, guys? Stuff's going on. I will never whitewash Elvis like some perfect angel. I will always try and be honest and say, come on, you know, he was a man. He had desires, he had temptation, but he was a very decent, good-hearted Christian man as well. So we have to sort of try and get the balance. Same goes for Linda. She's a woman. She has her desires, her temptations. She wants to be in love. She wants to be loved. There's a possibility, as Josie says, she was seeing David Briggs, the piano player. So let's have a look. You know, we're just chatting, aren't we, guys? Kathy was a good friend of mine. She stayed with me for a few months. Oh, yes, we've seen the videos. Salvatore sent me some great pictures. And Salvatore, you sent me a picture of you and her singing. I'm sure you did, yeah? And Kathy seems lovely. I'd love to read her book. Love to. Not according to some of the men. When Linda left for vacation after the first meeting, Klein got him Sybil Shepherd. Yeah, I've read about the Sybil Shepherd relationship. Actually, I don't really like the way Sybil Shepherd talks about Elvis. I've watched a few of her interviews. She says the nice stuff, that he was good looking and that, but she also says some stuff I don't like. Sybil Shepherd. So hope my book next, Louis. He was guessing it. Oh yeah. So what? I think Ayisa's sending me a book. Ayisa, what book are you sending me? Can you tell me? If Linda wants to be real, tell the truth in her book. I agree. Look, with Josie, with Linda, I know it's complicated. I know it's not a perfect relationship. I know that it's complex, but I will say this. I watched a lot of the interviews that she did just after he passed away, and she speaks very well of Elvis. Yeah. I've done quite a few live streams with Linda showing these old interviews. And even now, if you listen to Linda now, she speaks really well of Elvis. Now, I do agree that she has said things that she shouldn't have said. Yeah, Linda, I'm saving that for the next live stream. The next live stream. Because I don't have very long here. Let's just keep. But thank you, Linda. It's very kind. Let's have a look. It is a guessing game. I think Ayisa said it's a guessing game. Yeah, that's why it's just a chat. We're having a Team Elvis chat. Yeah, Salvatore, he was just the man. Definitely. Yeah, I want Kathy's book as well. Right. So I'm definitely going to be reading Linda's email, but I won't just quickly read it. I want to properly read it and then make a proper live stream about it. I don't want to just sort of quickly rush it off. Respectfully disagree. Her interviews, like Priscilla, are spoken softly and gently. While they drop words, they leave a bad impression. To me, it's mixed. It's with Linda. Like I could try and get one up now, guys. To me, it's very mixed. I'll get one up. Yeah. Let's find one of the older ones. Okay. You'll see what I mean. I've watched a lot of Linda Thompson interviews. Let's see if they come up. And let's find. I want to watch. Is that the dog trying to get in? I want to play an old one. Oh, here we are. I'll tell you what. Here's one with Larry King. Yeah.
In Memphis, so.
Right. So we'll just play a section of it. I don't know what it's going to say. I'm guessing. I don't know what this is going to say. I'm just going to play it. Okay. Are we ready, guys? I'll go. Then I can go and let the dog in.
He couldn't go to a regular movie. Oh, no, he could never go to a regular movie. So he rented the Memphian Theater out after closing hours.
And they'd send him new movies and he'd watch them.
Yeah, and some old movies, a lot of karate movies. So I was in...
Karate.
Yeah, he loved karate, yeah. And he loved action movies like that. So I was invited to go to the theater, and Miss Rhode Island, Jeannie LeMay, was my roommate in the Miss USA pageant. She was living in Memphis, and she and I went to the theater and were introduced to him properly.
Just, hello, this is
Miss Tennessee. Hello, honey, where have you been all my life?
Did he come on like that?
Oh, yeah. Well, in the beginning, he was a little smitten, kind of.
Was he
visibly.
married at the time?
No, he wasn't. I met him July 6th, 1972, and he had been separated since January. But I didn't know. It hadn't been released to the press. So I was pretty standoffish because, I was a good Southern Baptist girl.
Where would you go on a first date with Elvis Presley?
Well, we were at the Memphian Theater.
That was a bunch of, you consider that a first date?
I would consider that our first date, yeah, because that's
you sat next to him?
He sat next to me. He came and sat next to me he just got up during the film and came back and plopped down next to me. And
were you sitting next to Miss Rhode Island?
I was.
What did she say to you?
She bruised my ribs. Yeah, she kept poking me in the ribs with her elbow, and Elvis, pulled the old yawn and stretched the arm over the back of the seat next to me.
What did you think, being 13?
I thought he was, being 13 emotionally, I thought he was still married, and I was very standoffish. And he finally, during one of his nuzzles, said, honey, I'm not married anymore. To which I responded, no, I didn't. But, I'm sorry that it didn't work out for you, but you should have married a Southern girl. And I've said that, and he always remembered my saying that, because he said, you have no idea how honest that was and how truthful and how right on that was, because only if you grow up in the South do you understand that culture completely. And he was very Southern. And so I think we had an immediate kinship. We were like kindred souls right away.
Were there a lot of people in the theater all night long?
There were probably 25 people there, right? Friends of his, all friends and acquaintances. No, I don't. It's funny because I didn't remember it the next day.
So what happened to him? Did he take you home?
No, I left and went. I was staying at my aunt's house, my Aunt Betty. So I went back to her house, and at 4 a.m. the phone rang.
You gave me a number.
I wrote my number. I was, being Miss Tennessee. And he said, I'd like to get your number. And I said, well, I don't have a pen and I don't have a piece of paper. So I made him do the work. And he went and got some paper and pen, and he wrote down my number on a matchbook. And then I got home and I was kicking myself. I thought, oh, he'll never call me. I should have been a little more attentive than that. And I should
you wanted to see him.
Of course, yeah.
You liked his looks, you liked him.
He was an amazing. Well, I grew up on him. You know, I grew up in Memphis, and I grew up listening to his music and going to his movies.
And he was how old at this time?
He was 35, 36.
So he calls at 4 in the morning.
Called at 4 in the morning, and my Aunt Betty, you know, very Southern, gracious lady, hello. And I hear her saying, well, yes, she is. Just a moment, please. And she goes, oh, my God, it's Elvis Presley on the phone. So I said, hi, you know, it's kind of late to call. He said, I just want you to know how happy I am that I met you this evening. And, you know, I want to know where you've been, and don't disappear on me. I want to see you again. Can you come over tomorrow? I'd like to introduce you to my father, Vernon, and I'd like you to see Graceland. So
Very proper.
very proper. Yeah, very much the job.
So
Did you?
I'll play a bit more of that because it's really interesting. But my point is, guys, when I watch these, I've watched loads of Linda's interviews. She's quite sweet about the way she talks about him. She doesn't when she speaks negatively about him, like his eating, or his prescribed medication, or the fact that he was unfaithful, because she clearly says, I know he was unfaithful. She's still pretty sweet about him. The negative stuff is less. The positive stuff is more. This is why I'm okay with Linda. I understand from Linda, who sent me this book, and we are going to go through this book, that she definitely said a lot of things in this book that she probably should not have said. I still think she was good for Elvis. And honestly, I still think Linda was good. I know she does get a backlash. I know that there's many fans that are not happy with her to do with many reasons. But she took advantage of him, spent a lot of his money. I've seen all the negative stuff about Linda. But overall, I like Linda. Overall, I am a fan of Linda. But I also see the mistakes that she made as well. But I also see that Elvis was no angel with Linda. So I try and get a balanced view on it. And I'm just going to read a few of your comments. The more books I read, the more I'm convinced Elvis was not respected by many in his inner circle. Linda, they're all jealous of him. Elvis said in concert that he's been a lot of things read about me, but you never heard my side of the story. Great comment. Anna and Anita June, self-respect and respect. Yes, I agree with that. I don't believe her after she fibbed about Lisa calling her the morning passed away. Yes, that's another story. Tony, thank you. Hi, Tony. Hope you're okay. Have you got loads of energy today, Tony? Right. Yes. She says that on the day Elvis died, that the first reaction of Lisa was to phone Linda, and we're finding out that actually Linda's brother worked for Elvis. He phoned Linda and passed the phone to Lisa. So there's a mixed version of that, isn't there? Yeah. You know, to love Elvis, you got to hear all the stories about Elvis, not just the good stuff. I love Elvis no matter. Oh yeah, of course. So do I. Salvatore, so do I. Yeah, I'm with you 100% there. Linda, I agree, and definitely tells them from the start, and she won't talk about Elvis's private life. That's Josie. If Elvis was as bad as Linda claimed right from the start, then, like so many, she took advantage that she wasn't paying attention to the money, and she wasn't the only one. Guys did it too. Thanks, Linda. Bad, good, about Elvis, don't care, period. You say you love Elvis. Come on. Hi, Lynette. They could have left Elvis, but they stayed there only because of who he is. I think you could be right, Josie. She took photos in the bedroom when he was away and shared them. That was his very, very, yes. Tony, I agree. Tony, you're right. I've seen those photos. And even in the hospital, Tony, even in the hospital and outside the hospital. Tony, I agree. Louis, I'm going to send another email about the theory I have on the men and how they took advantage for. Yes, thank you, Linda. Yes, please. And Linda, on that email, we'll do a live stream just on the Memphis Mafia. Yeah, do you think that's a good idea, Linda? Karen, enjoy Christmas shopping. Have fun. The atmosphere in the supermarkets and shops at Christmas time is amazing. Amazing. I love going to Christmas shops at Christmas time. So see you later, Karen. Yeah, Songbird, I'm with you. No matter what, Elvis forever. I'd say Linda and her brothers were straight up moochers. Do you know what? I don't, Finola, I know Elvis bought him a car. Sam, is it? Because I've seen the pictures. So you could be right. You could be right, Finola. Especially after the next two books should be any day. Yeah, I love your note, Linda. I love your notes. Yeah, because of this new thing with YouTube where we have to sort of be careful how we read these books. Your notes are going to really be important. So thank you, Linda. It's so nice of you, so kind of you to take the time to do this for Team Elvis. For Team Elvis. But Elvis was after her because she was Miss Tennessee, posing all the sexy outside hospital. Like, yeah, I saw those pictures, Tony. Thank you. But we still love Elvis. Too right. Carolyn, yes, love Elvis forever. Linda, because of the situation with YouTube making me be careful how I read these books. I don't mind them if they're a bit longer. It's okay. Yeah, it doesn't have to be one page. 2 or 3 pages is okay. Once they bring up his private life and what happened that Elvis would not want others to know, they lost my respect. Josie, I understand. I understand. Okay, Ayisa, I understand. But Elvis was a friend with her brother and let him buy the car. Right, I'll carry on with this. Let's just see what else she says. I have watched this before. Let's just see what she says, yeah?
I want to see you again. Can you come over tomorrow? I'd like to introduce you to my father, Vernon, and I'd like you to see Graceland.
Oh, Tony.
So,
Very proper.
very proper. Yeah, very much the gentleman.
Did you go over the next day?
I went right over the next day. Yes, Jeannie and I went over.
Oh, you took her, you had a little chaperone.
I did. I said, I'd like to bring my friend because I was still, very much an innocent and kind of naive. And I said, I'd like to bring my friend. And he said, certainly, she's more than welcome.
And so what happened that day?
He was sitting in the jungle room, what became known as the jungle room, which was the TV room. There was a big waterfall in this room. And he was waiting for me there. And I met his father. I met a lot of the men who worked for him, Red and Sonny West and Joe Esposito and, a lot of the guys. And we just ended up riding the golf cart together. He had golf carts on the property and old cornrows in the back of Graceland, which were bumpity bump, when you went riding on these little golf carts. It was a thrill ride.
Was he forward on that?
Not at all. Not at all. He was a very respectful.
He kissed you yet?
Oh, he kissed me the first night, yeah.
In the movie theater?
In the movie theater, yeah. It was fun.
But the second day he was?
He was very respectful and very much the Southern gentleman. He was a very dichotomous human being, very paradoxical. On the one hand, he had this raucous image, and he did have a raucous sense of humor, irreverent sense of humor, but he was very pious on another level and very puritanical. And
a lot of Southerners are, aren't they?
A lot of Southerners are.
Elvis Presley, he passed away August 16th in 1976. We'll be back with more of Linda Thompson right after.
Do you see that? Do you see that? Larry King. Larry King gets the year wrong. It's ridiculous. Tony, you're very kind. Tony's just given 5 people memberships. Thank you so much, Tony. It's very, very generous. We don't take it for granted. We really appreciate it. Come on, guys. We're very lucky here at Team Elvis. We've got some great people with us. All of you are just very kind, very kind. Thank you. So I wanted to play a bit more of this. Definitely happy Christmas, Merry Christmas, and also Happy New Year. Yeah, he says 1976. Let's play a bit more, yeah? Right, so.
Billboard's Hot 100 featured that.
You know, very taste in men, don't I?
Obviously.
Very good taste
So
in men.
you were how old when you met Elvis, and how did you give me the story? How did
You know that Elvis liked them young, so I was very young. But I was
20?
No, I was 22. I had just turned 22. But chronologically, I was older than I was emotionally, having grown up in the South in a kind of very sequestered environment. You know, very traditional, very conservative. So
you were 22, but
22 going on, 13. And so
what was the occasion?
I was Miss Tennessee. I was at Miss Tennessee Universe in 1972, and Elvis was Elvis. And I was invited to go to the Memphian Theater, which he rented out after midnight to screen films. That was prior to screening rooms, and we lived in Memphis, so he just rented out.
Go to a regular movie.
Oh no, he could never go to a regular movie. So he rented the Memphian Theater out after closing hours,
and
would screen
new movies, and he'd watch them.
Yeah, and some old movies, a lot of karate movies. So I was in karate. Yeah, he loved karate, yeah. And he loved action movies like that. So I was invited to go to the theater, and Miss Rhode Island, Jeannie LeMay, was my roommate in the Miss USA pageant. She was living in Memphis, and she and I went to the theater and were introduced to him properly.
Just, hello, this is...
Hello, this is Miss Tennessee. Hello, honey, where have you been all my life?
Did he come on like that?
Oh, yeah. Well, in the beginning, he was a little smitten, kind of
Was he
visibly.
married at the time?
No, he wasn't. I met him July 6th, 1972, and he had been separated since December, January. But I didn't know. It hadn't been released to the press. So I was pretty standoffish because, I was a good Southern Baptist girl.
Where would you go on a first date with Elvis Presley?
Well, we were at the Memphian Theater.
That was a bunch of... You consider that a first date?
I would consider that our first date, yeah, because that's
you
when
sat next to him?
he sat next to me. He came and sat next to me he just got up during the film and came back and plopped down next to me. And
were you sitting next to Miss Rhode Island?
I was.
What did she say to you?
She bruised my ribs. Yeah, she kept poking me in the ribs with her elbow, and Elvis, pulled the old yawn and stretched the arm over the back of the seat next to me.
What did you think, being 13?
I thought he was, being 13 emotionally, I thought he was still married, and I was very standoffish. And he finally, during one of his nuzzles, said, honey, I'm not married anymore. To which I responded, no, I didn't. But, I'm sorry that it didn't work out for you, but you should have married a Southern girl. And I've said that, and he always remembered my saying that, because he said, you have no idea how honest that was and how truthful and how right on that was, because only if you grow up in the South do you understand that culture completely. And he was very Southern. And so I think we had an immediate kinship. We were like kindred souls right away.
Were there a lot of people in the theater all night long?
There were probably 25 people there, friends of his, all friends and acquaintances. No, I don't. It's funny because I didn't remember it the next day.
So what happened at the end of it? Did he take you home?
No, I left and went. I was staying at my aunt's house, my Aunt Betty. So I went back to her house, and at 4 a.m. the phone rang.
You gave me a number.
I wrote my number. I was, being Miss Tennessee. And he said, I'd like to get your number. And I said, well, I don't have a pen and I don't have a piece of paper. So I made him do the work. And he went and got some paper and pen, and he wrote down my number on a matchbook. And then I got home and I was kicking myself. I thought, oh, he'll never call me. I should have been a little more attentive than that. And I should have
wanted to see it.
Of course.
It's very interesting, isn't it, guys?
He was an amazing, and I grew up on him. I grew up in Memphis, and I grew up listening to his music and going to his movies.
He was how old at this time?
He was 35, 36.
So he calls at 4 in the morning.
Called at 4 in the morning, and my Aunt Betty, very Southern, gracious lady, hello. And I hear her saying, well, yes, she is. Just a moment, please. And she goes, oh, my God, it's Elvis Presley on the phone. So I said, hi.
Come on, it's
just
interesting,
kinda
isn't it,
call.
guys?
He said, I just want you to know how happy I am that I met you this evening. And, I want to know where you've been, and don't disappear on me. I want to see you again. Can you come over tomorrow? I'd like to introduce you to my father, Vernon, and I'd like you to see Graceland. So
Very proper.
very proper. Yeah, very much the gentleman.
Did you go over the next day?
You see that? Very much the gentleman. I just find that fascinating, and she's very beautiful there. I know this is probably, what year is that? I'm not sure what year that was. Have a look. 2000 and something. So she's probably in her 40s there, isn't she? Is she or late 30s? But I just find it fascinating. I like listening to her talking about Elvis. I mean, Larry King, mind, he throws those questions, doesn't he? He's like question. He doesn't hardly let her finish a sentence. I think Larry King has to just slow down a bit because he doesn't really let her fully say the whole sentence. Even that, she speaks really well of him. She's quite sweet about him. But I also understand that there are negative views about him as well. So anyway, guys, I'm gonna have to go because I'm gonna finish off my wife's bit of food that I'm cooking for her. I'm gonna have some lunch. I don't know if I'm on later. I'm gonna try and get on later. I don't know. It's my wife's going out tonight, so I'm not really sure how it's gonna pan out. I would like to do one more live stream today. I would. So I understand, Josie. I understand, and I like Josie's idea. I would like to get the Larry King interview with Margaret and do a little review on that as well. Get it on a live stream. So I'm gonna watch it again, and then we'll probably do something with Margaret. I think that'll be fun, guys. Yeah. So we're on the countdown for Christmas. Happy Christmas. Getting ready for New Year. Everyone's in Christmas mode at the moment, so everything does change. This week is obviously a very sort of happy, fun, lovely time for my family. We love Christmas here. I'm sure all of you guys do as well. So we're going to go, guys. So thank you for joining us here. Thank you for all your brilliant opinions. I love you guys throwing your opinions at me, and we can discuss them. We can debate them. You guys can all talk to each other about your different opinions, whether it be Linda or Anita or Elvis. Of course, always when it comes down to it, I am an Elvis fan. Always. I stand by Elvis, always. Of course, we give Tony a special thank you for putting those 5 members on. Tony, you're very generous, and we really appreciate it. We really appreciate it. But I appreciate all of you. All of you are fantastic. So thanks, guys. I thank you for all your support. Thanks to Songbird. She's very good to me. Always gives me loads of supports. All of you do. All of you do. We are a family. We are family. I could play the song, but we are family. Thanks, guys. Team Elvis, taking care of business. All the best, guys. I hopefully will do one more live later. Take care, guys.